Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
Well, hello. Welcome back to Maverick News. Hello, Maverick family. Kind of a bad day for Donald Trump. More Epstein photos being released. And that's not a good thing for him because it keeps the Epstein story in the spotlight. And that's a bad thing for him. The other thing that he probably isn't going to like is what Doug Ford, the Ontario Premier, said today. He said the ad that triggered Trump, the anti-tariff ad where Ronald Reagan was quoted accurately, Doug Ford, in a news conference today, when asked about it, he said it's the best ad ever. And I still am at a point where I don't really understand a lot of conservatives out there because we've heard repeatedly over the last number of years, conservatives have to stop apologizing. And yet Doug Ford is sort of like the most unpopular conservative among conservatives in Canada, even though he seems to be even more popular than Pierre Poilievre because at least he got elected and got a government elected multiple times in Ontario. But there's no love lost between them. But he's not apologizing. He says he'll never apologize to Donald Trump. And yet he's the guy who is on the receiving end of all of this negative energy from the conservative side, certainly the freedom side of the equation. It's perplexing, but we're gonna talk a little bit more about it. We have a whole bunch of other stuff to unpack tonight too, so stay with me. We have a lot of ground. Did we freeze up? Yeah, we did. We froze up for a moment, including more followed from last night's big Trump speech. I have a few observations and comments to share with you regarding that as well. Oh, and then at the end, we do have something sort of special to share with you again tonight. So stay with me. There's more ahead right after this.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, so just straight up, I have to say I'll never forgive Doug Ford. I have to qualify everything I'm about to talk about because I have such strong feelings about what happened during the pandemic with the lockdowns, and Doug Ford was in lockstep with the lockdowns, and I'll never forgive him for that. Bad, bad judgment on the part of so many people during that time, he included. Although at times you could tell he was not comfortable with what he was, I think, in a way, being forced to do. So, anyway, that aside, there are other things that Doug Ford has done in Ontario that I think do deserve some credit. I can say without question, just from my personal experience on several levels, that he's done a good thing with healthcare since he's been back in office because he has introduced more efficiencies. The service is much better than it was. Waiting times are down. That's my personal experience and the experience of some others that I know pretty close to me who have been going through the world of the Ontario Health Insurance Plan. But and again, that aside, let's pick up what happened today with Doug Ford and Mark Carney. They have signed a deal to streamline reviews for major projects. This is a cornerstone of what the Carney government is, focused on, getting major infrastructure projects approved and built across the country and reducing or even eliminating interprovincial trade barriers in order to offset the negative impacts from President Trump's tariff war, which is having a negative effect on the economy on both sides of the border. So let's just pick up the news conference right off the top to begin with. But the juicy stuff comes later on. And it looks like we are freezing up a little bit. The internet's not quite keeping up, so I'll do my best to keep an eye on that and compensate the best I can. Let me know in the chat if everything is going smoothly. I'll check in on that as we run this clip from today's news conference.
All right. Good morning, everyone. I'm the warm-up act for the Premier of Ontario. Premier Ford, thank you for joining us here in Ottawa. It's fantastic to see you again and your team. You know, we are all united. And certainly the Premier and I, we're united in our shared mission to build. And for example, during Premier Ford's time as chair of the Council of the Federation, he and I worked closely together to reduce interprovincial trade barriers and to create the conditions to get Canada and Ontario building again. And today what we're doing is transforming how we can build Ontario strong. Nous voulons avant tout réaliser de grands projets d'infrastructure qui vont permettre de renforcer nos industries au pays, de diversifier nos partenariats commerciaux et de créer des milliers de nouvelles carrières pour les gens de l'Ontario. For too long, the construction of major infrastructure has been stalled by arduous, inefficient approval processes. Uncertainty, red tape, duplicative and complicated reviews have curbed investment. There's many examples of this. One study shows that regulatory requirements in Canada have increased by 40%, 40%, over the course of the past 2 decades, suppressing business investment growth by nearly 10%. We need to turn that around. We need to turn that around to create high-paying jobs today and better futures for our kids tomorrow. Le Canada a toujours été une nation fière des bâtisseurs. Nous avions l'habitude de construire des grandes choses dans ce pays et nous les construisions rapidement. Il est temps de s'y remettre et d'aller de l'avant. Et pour cela, nous devons d'abord nous débarrasser de ce qui nous freine. So today, Canada and Ontario are signing a cooperation agreement on environmental and impact assessment. This agreement will speed up project approval timelines by introducing a new one project, one review approach. And under the agreement, Canada and Ontario will have a streamlined and flexible assessment process that will make approvals more efficient, delivering major projects faster while maintaining both federal and provincial standards. By working together, we will work with the same information, we will have the same timelines, and we will respect each other's jurisdictions. So, for example, if a project is primarily regulated by Ontario, the federal government will rely on the provincial environmental assessment. Of course, if a project falls under federal jurisdiction, the federal process will take precedence. And when, as is the case often, there are shared responsibilities, we'll pool resources, we'll align timelines, including through a harmonized process. In all cases, Ontario and the federal governments will maintain their standards and take their responsibilities for final approval decisions. So by aligning our approaches, we reduce duplication in the assessment phase and get projects built faster. By working together, we'll be providing greater certainty to builders so we can turbocharge the construction of the infrastructure Ontario and Canada needs to build our economy strong. C'est le troisième accord sur les évaluations d'impact que le Canada conclut avec une province, après ceux établis avec la Colombie-Britannique et le Nouveau-Brunswick. Nous travaillons avec d'autres provinces, y compris l'île de Prince-Édouard et le Manitoba, dans le même but. Et notre objectif est de conclure des attentes dans chaque province. Canada's new government is building our economy. And it's not just what we build, but it's also how we build. We're building in solidarity with workers, creating good union jobs from the skilled trades to the STEM. We're building sustainably, reducing emissions while boosting competitiveness and affordability. We're building inclusively, in full partnership with First Nations, Inuit, and Métis. For example, under this agreement, the federal government reaffirms its commitment to uphold UNDRIP, and we're putting this into action by providing further funding for Indigenous peoples to participate in the associated assessment processes. We're also building Canadian, with Canadian workers, Canadian steel, Canadian aluminum, Canadian lumber. Mardi, notre nouvelle politique achetée canadienne est entrée en vigueur. Le gouvernement privilégiera l'utilisation de l'acier, de l'aluminium et de bois d'œuvre canadiens dans les grands projets fédéraux de construction et de défense. Le gouvernement va aussi privilégier les entreprises canadiennes qui ont une vraie présence au Canada, les entreprises qui investissent ici, qui emploient des Canadiens et des Canadiens, et qui contribuent à l'économie locale. We are building in partnership with provinces and territories. We've referred multiple projects across Canada to the new Major Projects Office, including, importantly, the Darlington new nuclear project in Bowmanville, Ontario, a project that will drive $500 million annually into the province's nuclear supply chain and will position Ontario and Canada as global leaders in the deployment of small modular reactors. 18,000 workers will be involved in the construction of Bowmanville, Darlington. Once built, the new reactor will power 300,000 homes with clean energy and sustain 4,000 jobs. The Major Projects Office will also accelerate Canada's production and processing of critical minerals. And crucially, in Ontario, the Ring of Fire has the critical minerals needed, amongst others EVs, solar, wind, as well as defense applications. To conclude, in a rapidly shifting global economy, we can't control what other nations do, but we can control what we choose to do. And we are choosing to build Ontario strong and to build Canada strong. Thank you very much. Merci. And I now give you the Premier of Ontario.
Thanks, Prime Minister. Minister.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, very well.
Yep. Get out of the way.
Yeah. Well, first of all, good morning, everyone. And I just want to start by thanking Prime Minister Carney for hosting me here today in beautiful Ottawa. And yes, I'm going to visit the mayor right after this. It's great to be back here again alongside Minister McCarthy and Minister Bethlenfalvy, somewhere around there. We're talking fine. There you are, Minister. As we continue to stare down President Trump's tariffs and ongoing economic uncertainty, I'm just so pleased to be here today with Prime Minister Carney to celebrate a true milestone on our mission to unleash our economy, create jobs, and build nation-building projects. When Prime Minister Carney took office, he promised to do things differently. He promised to work with provinces and territories to eliminate federal duplication so we can get shovels in the ground sooner, to create jobs and opportunities for workers in every part of this country. Today, Prime Minister Carney has kept his promise. And Prime Minister, I want to thank you on behalf of the people of Ontario and on behalf of the people of Canada. Today's announcement is transformational. Projects that required overlapping provincial and federal review will now have a one project, one process, and this last one is so important. A one decision framework bringing certainty to investors and project proponents. It's time for Canada to build big things again, and nowhere will the impact of this deal will be felt more immediately than in the development of the Ring of Fire. Our agreement is the next step in our government's extensive work and partnerships with First Nations and Northern communities to unlock Ontario's vast critical mineral reserve in the Ring of Fire, which will add $22 billion to our economy and create 70,000 new good-paying jobs. Before today, we've signed historic agreements with Arrowland First Nation, Martin Fall First Nation, Webequie First Nation, who are ready to build. Today's agreement is the last step in our plan to get shovels in the ground this June. As soon as the ground thaws, 3 whole years ahead of schedule. And the impact of today's agreement will be felt far beyond the Ring of Fire, speeding up approvals for roads, highways, bridges, and mines in every region of Ontario. It's a time when President Trump is taking direct aim at our economy. Every second counts. We need to move at speeds we've never seen before to build a more competitive, more resilient, and self-reliant economy. Together, we're creating new opportunities for Canadian workers in every part of the country. As Premier, I've had the privilege to sign agreements, cut red tape, and tear down the barriers to trade with nearly every Canadian province and territory, unlocking $200 billion in growth. And I'm proud to be standing beside Prime Minister Carney today for our biggest accomplishment to date. Friends, we're always stronger when we work together, and together we're going to build great things and keep the true north strong and free. Thank you, and may God bless the people of Ontario. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Premier. Thank you, Prime Minister. We'll now begin the questions. On va maintenant passer à la période de questions.
Okay,
First question,
here we
Olivia.
go.
Prime Minister Mark Carney, what do you think of the series of conditions that the U.S. trade rep says Canada has to meet in order to extend CUSMA, including bolstering market access to U.S. dairy and addressing the provincial bans on U.S. alcohol? Does this make you feel more encouraged or discouraged about reaching an agreement with U.S. President Donald Trump? And Premier Ford, if you could weigh in afterwards, please.
Well, I'll put this in the context. These are a subset of issues of a much bigger discussion. We've been clear about our approach to supply management. We continue to stand by that. We'll continue to protect supply management. And we continue to see tremendous benefits, first and foremost for Canada, but very much for the United States, of pooling resources where possible in the auto sector, in the steel sector, in the aluminum sector, in the lumber, for forest products. And we will enter those discussions on the review of CUSMA in that spirit. The President and I had a long conversation with President Sheinbaum about this a little under 2 weeks ago, which set out the broad parameters for the review of CUSMA. We'll work closely together with the Government of Ontario, other provinces that are affected by potential adjustments there. And we will always pursue an agreement that is in the interest of Canadian workers, Canadian families, and we'll only sign an agreement that's consistent with that. And I'll give the Premier an opportunity to speak. En français, c'est une les cotations de M. Greer sont quelques exemples des enjeux dans les négociations. Et le gouvernement du Canada et moi-même, nous sommes constants.
When we get to the good stuff, where Doug Ford starts talking about the ad, watch the reaction from Carney.
Et d'autres secteurs, le secteur aérospatial. Il y aura des discussions complexes pendant la prochaine année. Et le président Trump, moi et Mme Sheinbaum, la présidente du Mexique, nous avons eu une longue discussion sur quelques aspects de processus de revue de l'ACM. Et je laisse la parole à M. Ford.
Thank you. Well, regarding trade, obviously, I have full confidence in the Prime Minister and his negotiating with President Trump. As for alcohol, we've seen wine sales go up 76%. They're having a record year. The grape growers are having a record year. Small, large wineries are having a record year. Distilleries are. And when the Prime Minister and President Trump come up with a great deal for both countries, we'd be more than happy to bring in some maybe Kentucky bourbon. But until then, we're going to hold off.
Follow-up? Prime Minister Carney, what is on our list to strengthen CUSMA? Do we have any conditions besides lifting sectoral tariffs?
Well, we have, I would say several things. One, we see value in truly pursuing integration in our auto sector, building the next generation in the auto sector. We see value in the aerospace sector. We see value to both countries. I'll give you a concrete example with respect to aluminum, which is that in effect, Canadian exports of aluminum to the United States saves the United States the equivalent of 10 Hoover dams of electricity. This is just sensible for both countries. But in order for, and there are many other examples of where working together makes the two economies, the three economies in the case of CUSMA, stronger. But in order for the United States to have those advantages, we need secure market access, and we need stable market access, a return to a degree of certainty. So we need a structure that aligns the incentives across both sides of the border, particularly on the American side, that will provide consistency of that market access. There are many, many opportunities to grow our economies together, and I haven't touched yet on emerging strategic sectors. Critical minerals, we're talking about the Ring of Fire today. That is an opportunity, first and foremost, for the people of Ontario, including Indigenous peoples resident in Ontario. It's an opportunity for Canada. It's a potential opportunity for the United States, but it's not an assured opportunity for the United States. It's part of a bigger discussion in terms of our trading relationship, because we have other partners around the world, in Europe, for example, who are very interested in participating in those value chains. So there's a broad set of things that work for Canada, but if I were to boil it down to one element, which is as we define the new trading relationship, to have an alignment of incentives so that that certainty is reestablished for Canadian businesses, Canadian households. And that may be a different set of activities than we had before.
Next question, Mike.
Prime Minister Michael Couture with CTV News. I wanted to ask you something, just to be clear, based on a number of interviews you've done recently. Is it your view that if Premier Ford had not launched that ad in the United States, that sectoral tariffs would be lower right now?
It was the case that we were close to an agreement. We didn't get that agreement. The terms of that agreement, from our perspective, are still on the table. The U.S. has not picked up that part of the negotiation. An agreement that would benefit, first and foremost, Canadian workers in steel, aluminum, in energy, some other sectors, but would also benefit the United States tremendously. My judgment is that is now going to roll into the broader CUSMA negotiations. So we're unlikely, given the time horizons coming together, to have a sectoral agreement. Although, if the United States wants to come back on that in those areas, we're always ready there. We're very ready. And I'll make one other point, head back. We are very ready on forest products to strike an agreement. And the United States has affordability challenges, including in the housing sector and the forest products sector, and we can make an immediate difference to affordability in the United States, to the benefit, yes, of Canadian workers, but also to American consumers.
Follow-up.
C'était le cas que nous étions près d'un accord avec les Américains en ce qui concerne l'acier, l'aluminium, puis l'énergie, quelques d'autres aspects. Et ce deal-là reste sur la table, demeure sur la table par la perspective de mon gouvernement. Mais la situation actuelle, c'est plus probable que les États-Unis, pas les États-Unis, mais toutes les négociations soient dans le processus de revue de l'ACM.
Follow-up.
I think Premier Ford wants to speak first.
Well, number one, that was the best ad that's ever been run, 12.4 billion views. We wanted to bring it to the attention of the American people. And be very frank, it was President Trump. If he didn't comment on it, rather than 12.4 billion views, it might be 12.4 people viewing it. But in saying that, our intention was to bring it to the attention of the American people through the greatest president that ever lived, that was Ronald Reagan. Protectionism does not work. We're their number one customer. They're our number one customer. We need to work together. We need to put that AmCan fortress together, and we're going to be stronger. It's as simple as that. President Trump came out the first day and said, if I was Canada, I'd run the ad too. And the little bird whispered in his ear, and the next day things changed. You know something? I'm in a very different position than Prime Minister. I respect the Prime Minister. He has to sit in front of President Trump. It's easy for me to sit back and say that, and it's a lot more difficult when you're the front line guy that's negotiating with him. That's how I feel. We did it at a fraction of a cost, and my goodness, it got people's attention. Simple as that. So it was a great ad.
Just to follow up, Premier, since you're there, I mean, Prime Minister Carney kind of made a face when you said it was the greatest ad ever.
It was.
I'll maybe get him to weigh on that as well. But by not backing down, are you putting your own interests ahead of people in the sector?
In what sector? I believe you just can't roll. You can't. I'm in a different position. I'm not speaking for the Prime Minister. I'm speaking for the people of Ontario. We're getting hit the most out of any single province in this entire country. He's attacking our steel industry, attacking our automotive sector, attacking our manufacturing, our pharmaceutical, our life sciences. I'm not going to sit back and roll over and not fight back. To protect the people and their jobs of Ontario. It's as simple as that. That's my job, to protect the people of Ontario. I'm going to continue fighting to make sure we get a fair deal with the U.S. I can tell you one thing. I talked to I'm going down to sign a deal with the governor of New York tomorrow. I can tell you, I talk to governors almost every week, almost every single day, a senator or a congressperson, Republican or Democrat. Even Republicans say they don't agree with the deal, but they're too scared, except 4 of them that crossed the floor to vote with the Democrats about 3 or 4 weeks ago. So I'm gonna fight like I've never fought before to protect the communities in Ontario, protect their jobs, and protect the people. It's as simple as that.
Prime Minister,
Next question.
Did you want to weigh in on the face?
Well, I think we should
Next question.
Parce qu'il y a des autres personnes et pas.
Next question, Mackenzie.
Mackenzie Gray with Global News. I just want to follow up on what your answer to Mike was. You were not expecting that there's going to be any kind of sectoral agreement with the U.S. government, that the tariff deal will be done at the CUSMA table?
These processes are coming together now. It's possible. We're ready. We could, if the U.S. wanted to sit down this weekend, we could sit down this weekend and hammer out a sectoral deal. I'm confident of that from our side. But there is now a process. The U.S. is doing consultations for what they call USMCA, we call CUSMA, and they'll finish those, and then that will roll into this review process. Let me make one general point I'm going to hand back, which is part of fighting for the jobs here in Ontario, fighting for the jobs across Canada, is doing things like today's announcement. This is good under any circumstance because it's going to build big things faster, it's going to create more opportunities, it's going to create better futures. But it also puts us in a stronger position, in those negotiations. We have lots to do. We're ready to sit down on the weekend, negotiate any weekend, any time, but we're also busy. We're busy building Ontario, we're busy building Canada, and we're going to build it faster.
Follow up.
During the election, on multiple occasions, you said that supply management will never be on the table in negotiations with Donald Trump. Is that still your position? And Premier, on that point, are you concerned that saving supply management would mean that sectors like the auto sector would be more negatively impacted in trade negotiations?
C'est jamais la gestion d'offre, c'est jamais sur la table. Ça reste la même position. Not on the table. There's we have discussions. There's a negotiation. Each side has a set of issues. They put those issues on the table. They're measured in the dozens of issues. The U.S. has 54 issues with Mexico, for example. So when they're referenced, you have to put that in the context, and we'll always look for ways to benefit our workers, our families, as part of a broader agreement. Sure. Okay.
Like I'm unwavering. I support our farmers. I support supply management. And the ironic thing is they're targeting our dairy. They didn't even hit their own quota. So if they can't even meet their own quota, there's no tariff, right? Or no charge. But I'm unwavering in support of our poultry farmers, our dairy farmers, and egg farmers. I know beef isn't part of it, but I support the beef folks. I love our farmers. They're the backbone of our country. And you talk about auto, the food and agricultural sector is much larger in Ontario than the automotive sector. But our automotive workers need to eat, so they tie in.
We all need to eat.
We'll have time for one last question. Marco?
Hey, Marco Vigliati, Politics. Mr. Prime Minister, are you comfortable substituting Ontario's environmental assessment process for projects that may land in a special economic zone under the legislation the Premier passed, even though that might mean proponents can bypass certain environmental protections, including in areas like the Ring of Fire?
Well, to be clear, we have the federal government's responsibilities in environmental protection. For example, in fish habitation, migratory birds, other areas. We retain these responsibilities. And we discharge these responsibilities, including through this agreement. So in areas where, and this is part of the issue. So let's take a big step back, and then I'll get more specific. Part of the issue that has bedeviled projects is you have the province of Ontario doing their job, sometimes in a sequence of decisions across. It can be labor standards, it can be Indigenous consultations, their own environmental responsibilities. The federal government over here doing our job, but again in sequence, nothing lined up, same information or very similar information being provided to different sets of people, and next thing you know, it's 8 or 10 years. So the first thing that this does is it gets everybody effectively in the same room, Ontario and the federal government. We know what our responsibilities are. We have one ask to the project proponent in terms of information. We have a common timeline. we leverage each other's resources, and then it drives to a single decision-making process at the end. But in terms of our responsibilities, whether it's on environment, our responsibilities for Indigenous consultations under Section 35 of the Constitution responsibilities, we discharge those, but in a much more effective and efficient way.
En français, sur le cercle de feu, Monsieur Carney.
En ce qui concerne le cercle de feu, oui, il y a des... OK, dans cet exemple, et c'est un exemple très, très important, il y a des enjeux pour le gouvernement fédéral. En ce qui concerne, par exemple,
Okay, let's take a little break. We're going to come back. We're going to go to the signing ceremony. A few things said there, too, are entertaining.
Maverick News isn't just a news outlet, it's a community of truth seekers. Your donation at freedomreporters.com fuels our mission to report the stories that mainstream media won't touch. Thank you, Maverick family.
And before we get back to today's top stories and the Carney Ford News Conference, a huge thank you to all the haters out there, especially the ones in Twitch who are down there ripping me every single night. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I got the analytics back on the Twitch channel, and we're doing okay. In fact, what many people don't realize is the haters have made the Maverick Twitch channel successful. Yeah, a lot of the people watching are not in the chat with you haters, but we have enough viewers watching every night on Twitch that we are now in the top 20% of Twitch streamer users. Is that the right way to phrase it? Anyway, I got some numbers back and they really surprised me. So thanks for hating me. Keep on hating and showing the world exactly what you're really like. For anyone who wants to tune in, I don't encourage people to join them, but yeah, you've made the Twitch channel what it is, among the top 20% of all channels being used by Twitch streamers. Maverick News on Twitch. Thank you, haters. Now back to the news conference. Oh yeah, we also qualified for monetization. Thanks.
Ford, what do you make of Pierre Poilievre losing members of his caucus to Mark Carney? Would you like to comment on that?
How's your French Premier, Ford? You working on that at all?
Come see, come saw.
You don't want to comment on Poilievre's leadership right now? You're critical during the election.
I'm happy here with the Prime Minister. He's doing a great job. And we're going to move this country forward, and we're going to move the province forward. But thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
This
Prime
is a great
Minister,
job.
is it on the table repealing the Online News Act, Online Streaming Act, Online News Act? Is that on the table?
We're not going to see them? You're not going to hold the documents up?
Oh, yeah.
Are you?
You're not going to do the Trump? Oh, okay, we'll do the Trump. I thought it was entertaining, honestly, when he was asked about Poilievre, and Doug Ford just didn't want to talk about him because there's just no love lost between the Poilievre camp, the federal conservatives in the Poilievre camp, and Doug Ford and the Conservative Party of Ontario. But Doug Ford is unapologetic, and I've seen, in recent years, in fact, wasn't that the campaign slogan for the Conservatives? Was it federally or provincially? It was unapologetic. I think Derek Sloan was the one who was, I don't remember who. Anyway, maybe you guys can comment on in the chat and let people know if you know. But there was that conservative slogan, unapologetic. And so that's why it's in the thumbnail tonight. And he said, was it yesterday or the day before? He will never apologize to Donald Trump. I'll never apologize to that guy. And tonight he's not apologizing for that ad, and he shouldn't. And honestly, like, I have to wonder why, like, I do wonder, what is it specifically about Doug Ford that sets everybody off? I see it even in the chat tonight, a couple of people not liking him. Just, yeah, I don't know what was it that he did. Like, I don't like what he did during the pandemic. I didn't like what any of the politicians did during the pandemic, either in Canada or the US, because the same stuff was going on everywhere. And in China, the whole world was doing the same crap to varying degrees, less so in places like, say, Florida. But Canada, there were a lot of states, just like it was here in Ontario, if not worse in some cases. But what is it about Doug Ford? I know that there's been this like smear campaign that the federal Conservatives launched against him. It's not even from the Liberals. It appears to be from orchestrated, choreographed by the federal Conservatives against Doug Ford. So, but I don't quite understand why everyone is so, I don't know why, what is it? What specifically is it that he did? ProImmune says they were all a-holes during yeah, they were, they all were. It was awful. It was just awful. And Cindy says, I don't dislike Ford. I have been unhappy with the healthcare. Okay. Like different people having different experiences. I've been highly critical of the healthcare system until the last couple of years. Tarface, why is Rick somewhere else? Is he on vacation? I don't know what that means exactly, but I kind of get an inkling. Jubilee, his brother Rick, Rob Ford, whack job a-holes. Yeah. He was a popular mayor in Toronto, though. He was popular, and and Dragon Ian, cause of the rabbies. Ford campaign, Rick. All of them were AH, yeah. And Tarface at his parents' care. Yes, that's. Oh, why is Rick somewhere else? That's yes. Oh, yeah. I understand the question now. Yeah, if you're wondering why, for all the haters who have been accusing me of living in my mom's basement, now I am. I'm literally in my mom's basement. So there's lots of material there for the haters who can rip me all they want for being in my mom's basement, because I'm here. This is where I've been for the past, 2.5 weeks or what? I don't know how long. I've lost track of time. Yeah, my dad had an operation, as I explained the other night. So I'm just here and I'm taking care of my folks. And so I'm living in my mom's basement. It's a riot. Yeah, I can hear everything upstairs. MASH. I'll share. So, yeah, I'm in my mom's basement and I can hear everything going on upstairs. So during the day, the routine is MASH and then another episode of MASH, and then there's these true crime shows that come on, and those run for a couple of hours, and then in the afternoon we get Judge Judy. Oh man, Judge Judy. Does anybody out there watch Judge Judy? Oh, like it bakes my brain. It's like LSD or something. Like, I don't do drugs, but if I did, I think that would be it. It's just Judge Judy. And then after and the thing about Judge Judy, the Judge Judy show, since I'm doing television reviews now, is it messes with your freaking mind, because you get these the stories are very trailer park. which shows you why it appeals to my family. there's my roots. Anyway, so yeah, we're a big Judge Judy family. And the thing about Judge Judy is the show messes with your mind. Judge Judy screws with your brain because they repeat shit. It's true. It's like they take clips from the show. I don't, if you ever watched it, I was like, they run a clip and then they go to a commercial break and then they come back and then they run the clip that they ran before. I haven't quite figured out the sequencing of it, but it's like I do a double take because I'm only half paying attention when it's on. And it's like, wait a minute, didn't we already watch that clip? And we did. And I think they do it sometimes 3 times. So it's an effective way of filling 28 minutes, 30 seconds out of the half hour. The rest is devoted to commercials, by the way. It's just weird. It's just weird. And at the end of the day, we shouldn't really care about any of the crap on Judge Judy because it's just mindless, trivial, personal grievances from one person to another. And my parents love it. Especially my dad, but it's just like, it's like neighborhood gossip. Oh man. There was a thing on there just 2 days ago. It was like a dispute over, I think it was $75, a $75 dispute because somebody had to have the AAA people, CAA in Canada, the auto club come, and the woman had locked her keys in her car because she's, a genius. And so, but she's so smart. Well, so this is really, this is important shit. Okay. So on the Judge Judy show, the woman locked her keys in the car and then she called her friend because her friend had AAA and her friend said, well, you can use my AAA and we'll have the tow truck guy come and get your keys out. So they did. But then the next day, the genius woman, she did it again. And so she calls her friend and her friend had AAA come and they got the keys out of the car again. But this time there was a $75 fee because she'd used up all of her AAA credits. You can only have the guy come so many times. And so the woman who had the genius woman who keeps locking her keys in the car, she was like, I'm not paying it. You got to pay it. It's your AAA. So they ended up in court. And that is really important stuff. I mean, all this CUSMA, USMCA, NAFTA, ABC, blah, 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 inflation, what's the prime rate, subpar lending to people who can't afford car loans. Who cares about all of that? Who cares about the military buildup around Venezuela? These people have important shit they got to deal with. And that's why it's on Judge Judy. Yeah. Well, there are lessons to be learned. I guess it is invaluable in that you learn important things about morality. So yeah, I'm in my mom's basement. This is what I'm doing with my days. I'm down here working during the day. I go up and I do stuff. Oh, did you guys notice the weather? There was a huge pile up out in Alberta yesterday, southern Alberta. The roads are just treacherous. And today here, after getting pounded with snow for many, many days, and it's been quite cold here in London, Ontario, it's raining now. It's just so crappy. It's awful. It's so messy outside. I just took Cosmo for a walk before the show, and the weather here sucks. It's awful. insofar as it's raining and it's cold and it's miserable outside and all of the snow, like there's just piles and piles of snow because we get dumped on here between the lakes. I grew up here, so I know of what I'm speaking. And I'm living it again. And I had to go out and blow snow again today, even though it didn't snow. And it was melting, but the plow went by. And if it's going to freeze, so you have to get that crap out of the end of the driveway. If otherwise, I'm not taking my mom to the doctor tomorrow. So because we'll have a mound of ice at the end of the driveway. So that's the joy of living here in this part of Southern Ontario. We're experiencing, shall we say, unsettled weather. But that is part of what being a Canadian is all about. Oh, I still have it here. Let me hold it up. I am Canadian. Yeah, Judge Judy, beware. Canuckistanians love you, especially my parents. I don't know what happened to the People's Court. What the hell happened to that show? That was very popular upstairs before, but I don't think it's on now, or at least it's not on the right time zone or the right channel. My dad can't. I want People's Court back. It's a good add-on to the Judge Judy show. Also, there's this Danny Trejo show on, which like I don't know, some unexplained mysteries thing, and William Shatner's doing a some sort of a weird conspiracy theory, unexplained, weirdo show with all these weird stories of UFOs and crap like that. I think too. I see it promoted on there. So yeah, it's just very, very cerebral around here. It's a thinking man's house.
Greetings, brave mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Are there Judge Judy fans in the chat? Yeah. So there's somebody in there like the People's Court. Yeah. Dragon says, me and your parents watching the same shit, Rick. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's very intellectual. And the thing is, I don't think you really learn anything about the court system. And honestly, this is why Canadians are so freaking messed up, because we watch all this US television. It's all and it's garbage when it comes to educating you about law and the way the legal system works, because first of all, it's like civil crap and it's all US, and I don't think that they always follow the law when rendering judgments. I'm not a lawyer, and I'm certainly not an American lawyer, but man, I'll tell you, Canadians are completely screwed up, because this is where people learn about due process and rights, is from shows like Judge Judy, primarily. That's pretty much it. And it's not even the Canadian system. And so people get very confused very easily. And I can see why the propaganda works so effectively when I sit and subject myself to that. Or more to the point, my dad makes me watch it. It's okay. It's okay. I'm not asking him to change the channel. Hockey's on later. That's a little bit better. Anyway, shall we proceed with today's other top stories? Speaking of geniuses, Pete Hegseth, the man who presides over the Department of War, tough guy. He basically thinks that young Americans are effing stupid. I can't make this crap up. He says, too fat or too stupid. Too many of our young people are too fat or too stupid. Not stupid, that's the wrong word. We're just not educating them well enough, or they have ADHD or other issues. This is about recruiting people for the military. Listen to this. Young people just too stupid. What a way to talk.
These have been historic recruiting numbers. You guys have all delivered. And I know it's not easy on the basic ingredients on recruiting, that too many of our young people are too fat or too dumb, or not dumb, that's wrong. We're just not educating them properly, or they've got criminal records, or PT or ADHD, or all these other things. There's a lot of things contributing to what someone may or may not qualify to get into the military. These have been historic.
Who wants to go to work for that guy? He thinks you're dumb. Come to work for us. We're looking for the idiots. We'll just do whatever we tell them. See that field over there? Okay, here's what you do, idiot. The Ruskies are on the other side. And well, you're going to put this helmet on. See, it's going to protect your noggin. All right? Now, when I say go, you run as fast as you can across that field, try to get to the other side, and you have negotiations with extreme prejudice when you get over there, okay? And if and try not to get shot. Yeah. But Mr. Hegseth, what does extreme prejudice mean? Never mind, boy. Just get your ass over there. Get running. Anyway, enough. And to follow it from the Trump's speech last night, oh man, he made up numbers. He did look kind of desperate, almost like he was I don't know. He was not his normal self. He was kind of shouting. And while people are defending what he had to say last night, really, to me, it was just more of the same crap. Patting himself on the back, self-congratulatory, making up a bunch of numbers, saying the economy is doing great, that inflation is under control when it isn't. Prices are on the rise. I don't know what else to tell you, man. It's like, no, it's just not true. Not true. And the fallout from it is continuing. And he's got a problemo, because he's slipping in the polls. He's down below 40% in the approval rating. He's in the same zone at this point, I would say, as, in terms of approval ratings and the state of the economy and what's happening, kind of in Carter's territory. I always said Jimmy Carter, super nice guy, really well-intentioned. You admire what he was trying to do at the time, but he was a completely ineffective president. You ended up with the Iran hostage crisis. It ultimately is what killed his presidency, and he was just weak, and perceived as being weak. And the economy sucked at that time. Inflation was a big problem. Canada inherited, that economic cold, which turned into a flu for Canada at the time. I remember those days. It was not good. And then Reagan came along and kind of brought his free trade vision with him and turned things around. And he was perceived internationally as a very strong president. And you saw the collapse of the Soviet Union under Reagan's watch. It was a totally different kind of presidency. And there was a lot more national pride that Reagan brought forth too. But he was a true conservative. Trump's not. Trump is not a conservative. Stop calling him that. It's not true. He is this neo-populist socialist. He's a national socialist, ultimately, and a neo-populist. He's bringing all this crap to. He's not a conservative. Doug Ford is more of a conservative than Donald Trump. I'll put it to you, too, that even Mark Carney is more of a conservative than Donald Trump. True. In fact, I can back it up because I'm not the only one saying it. A lot of liberals are saying it. They are tolerating it, and they're embracing him because of the existential threat that Canada is facing from the United States, which is the quiet part that very few people are actually saying out loud, but some people are. But the point is, if you listen to what's being said in liberal circles, mainstream media, traditional media, middle of the road commentation, if you listen to that, you'll hear people comparing Mark Carney to, drumroll, Stephen Harper. I've been hearing it this week. The MOU, the major infrastructure projects, the way he's using market economics to drive his agenda. He's more conservative on the financial side than Pierre Poilievre. I'm telling you, you might not want to hear it, but it's freaking true. And that's why you get this blending, this bleed over from one party to the other. There are blue liberals and red liberals and communist liberals. And within the liberal camp, you do have some conservatives. Within the conservative ranks, you have red Tories who are basically liberals among the Tories, the conservatives. It has always been that way. Because in order to win the election, you have to broaden your umbrella, your tent, to take in a broader cross-section of the population in order to get a critical mass there so you can actually win enough seats to win the election. It's the way the system works in Canada. And people are like freaking out about this floor crossing stuff. Poilievre's being outmaneuvered. I'm just telling you. And then I see these streamers, influencers, the big journalists out there who are like, it's a Chinese plot. Prove it. Prove it. I'm open to anything, but until you show me that it's actually a Chinese plot, I'm sitting here saying, no, this is political maneuvering. This is strategy, and the conservatives got played. Carney's and the liberal team, very, very sly, sophisticated. They know what they're doing. They know how to win elections. And so they shifted, and they took the wind out of Poilievre's sails. He kept standing up in the House of Commons before the last election for a long time. He's been saying it for a long time. We have all these great ideas. We want to axe the tax. We want to axe the carbon tax. You got to build a pipeline. We got to do this, do that. I welcome the liberals. I suggest you steal my ideas. And so Carney did. At a time when Trump has been threatening Canada's sovereignty but with a takeover to make us the 51st state. And what Carney was saying resonated with more Canadians than with what Poilievre had to say. And Poilievre, the Conservatives, they're off base, man. They're not reading the room in Canada right, because Canadians ultimately are not Americans. But they're like Trump, and they think that to win, they have to be more like Trump. But this is not the U.S. So Carney stole portions of the conservative platform, made it his own, stole those votes, just took them away. And yeah, fiscally, he's more conservative, really, than Poilievre. And the floor crossing thing, man. Again, all of this, you get the smelling salts out for the live streamers who are losing their shit over this and pretending to be, so enraged over it and convincing a lot of low information voters and viewers to just be upset about this floor crossing stuff like it's never happened before. And their petitions, we have to stop this. Really? Because when I look back even, 6 months or a year or 2 years ago, what were the same people calling for? An end to party politics so that members of parliament can vote independently and not be controlled by the party. So you're not compelled to vote in line, in lockstep with the party and whatever the platform of the party is. We've been told, well, it's a uniparty system, and just so if it's a uniparty system, why do you even care if they're crossing the floor? Because it isn't. It isn't a uniparty system, and it does represent, I think, more effectively the will of the people in Canada than the U.S. system. Not perfect, to be sure, but that's the truth, because it's a parliamentary system, and every member of parliament actually can, at any given time on any given vote against their own party and their own government. They can side with the opposition if they want to, even on a single vote, but then they risk the wrath of the party whip and maybe even the prime minister, and you get kicked out of caucus, cabinet, whatever, you lose your position, you're no longer in the good graces, then the party might not even support you in the next election in your own riding. And then you're going to be left out there dangling without that brand, that L or the C or the NDP or whatever other party, or the Green Party logo beside your name on the ballot. And you're not going to have the funding, and you're not going to have the machine, the political machine behind you. So there are a lot of incentives and a lot of ways that they keep MPs in line and voting in lockstep with whatever the party platform is. But the people screaming about this floor crossing crap, it's like, you don't like the party. I thought we didn't like the party system, and now you're upset because some of these MPs are acting independently or like independents, and they're moving over to the other party. And why might that be happening? Well, it might be because, first of all, Carney is more nationalistic than Poilievre now, because he's the one defending Canada. Well, Poilievre is like just grasping. He's trying to find a footing. And the Liberals just claimed that defend Canada ground in the wake of Donald Trump's tariff war. More than that, it's like he's just he's just turned the tables. And so you have these Liberals who are like, some of them sitting there saying, or the Conservatives rather, who are sitting there saying, what the hell is going on? And, and I'm just going to be straight up to, there's a shitload of racism inside the Conservative Party right now with the immigration issue, where they've embraced it to the point where they're embracing, straight up hardcore bigots and tolerating that shit because they think there are votes to be had there. And that's the other reason they frickin' lost. Because it's really distasteful to a lot of Canadians who are like, I'm not voting for that. There are ways to handle the immigration issue, but this whole, hardline racism, blame that group of people. That's not what Canada's really known for. That's not what we're about. No, it's out there, and there's an element of it, to be sure. And I just saw a social media post tonight, earlier today, saying, claiming that, I think it was an Abacus poll, which, these polls, a lot of them are cooked up anyway and slanted. And so they're trying to spin it like if the Conservatives talk about immigration in that way, then they win. Obviously, they don't, because they lost really badly, because Poilievre again blew the lead. He had a huge lead. The election was his to lose, and he lost it. The Conservatives lost it, and I think he lost it because he got crappy advice from his handlers. While they stuck to their to their campaign slogans, the campaign platform, the strategy, when it had been obliterated, stolen, the main planks taken out of it, and made part of the whole Liberal campaign. And they just kept going. They were rudderless. They didn't know what the hell to do. And they're still in trouble now. Poilievre is in trouble within his own party because they're blaming him. I don't even think it was really largely his fault. It's the strategists, it's the handlers, and it's the hardline bigots who are taking the party in the wrong direction. Like, I've got to go harder on that. You got to blame those people over. Yeah, screw off. But I don't really care, because I'm not with the Conservative Party or any party. I'm not. I'm just calling it like I see it. It doesn't resonate with Canadians, especially not now. There are other ways to do it, and they've lost the script, and they're going to lose again if they keep doing this shit. They're going to lose again. It'll look like, and they ramp it up, and on social media, it looks like they're gaining a lot of ground, but that's freaking fake, because it's bought and paid for. They're paying for those views of those streamers, and they're paying the streamers. They've got their own little network, and it's quite effective, and that crap goes out there. But at the end of the day, it's fake. The numbers are fake, and a lot of the people watching it aren't watching it because they're supporting those streamers or the ideas even. They're watching it because they're appalled, and they're sucked in, and they can't believe how angry it makes them. And that's one of the key components that one of the key things that they use with social media to pull people in and keep you engaged and keep you watching. That is, in fact, what they were doing last night, in my estimation, with Donald Trump's speech. I'm going to bring us back to that, circle back into commentary on that just a little bit. What did we have in the thumbnail last night? War at 9, because it's a show. Like Film at 11, we'll be back at 6 with today's top stories. Or it's 7 p.m. Eastern, the top stories with Rick Walker. But the point is, it's entertainment, right? War at 9, because there was this whole wave of speculation out there, fueled largely by Tucker Carlson and his appearance yesterday on the Judge Napolitano show, where he was predicting that Donald Trump would be announcing a war at, what time was it last night? 9 p.m. Eastern. And then there was just this, you had, what's his name there? Nick Fuentes. He goes on Alex Jones, and they're talking about it. And you get millions of people now yakking about how Trump is going to announce the war. And so I didn't know, but I put war at 9. War at 9 p.m. on the thumbnail last night, because they were drumming up viewership. It was bait, clickbait, largely. But as I was analyzing this, thinking it through last night, and this is me offering some perspective. This is my editorial opinion, my op-ed for the night. Maybe another one coming later. You never know. Because I didn't know if I'm going to say this, but I'll say this now. Through the night, because I do a lot of my thinking while I sleep, I woke up, kept on thinking about this. And you know what they were doing? They were using us as digital guinea pigs. Oh, yeah. They were playing with us in real time because of social media and the way that they can use social media today to manipulate us. I'm pretty sure of it. Trump won his first election mostly with Facebook because that was the prominent social media platform at the time. Twitter less so. Now it's Twitter. Things have changed. And TikTok. TikTok, very, very prominent. In fact, tonight, let me bring it up here if I can find it. TikTok, new deal on TikTok. Here it is. TikTok inks deal with investors to keep operating in U.S. You know, there was going to be a ban on TikTok because it's Chinese, right? But it's new. It's not going anywhere. Trump don't want to give it up. A lot of people don't want it given up. A lot of people want to keep on using it, even though it represents something of a national security risk to the United States, even as we speak. But hey, you know, if we're going to blame everything on China, why is this getting such a huge pass? Because people love to talk on the tick. And here's the deal. TikTok inks deal with investors to keep operating in U.S. Oracle and others sign agreement with TikTok parent ByteDance. Sale expected to close next month. TikTok's future in the U.S. is a bit more certain after its Chinese-owned parent company, ByteDance, has reached a deal to sell the popular social media platform to a trio of investors. Those investors would be Oracle, Silver Lake, and MGX, ensuring the popular social video platform can continue operating in the United States. The deal is expected to close January 22nd, according to an internal memo seen by the Associated Press, which Trump tried to ban from the press room because they wouldn't call the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. Anyway. Because he's the free speech president. But yeah, you can. That's compelled speech, by the way, for anyone not checking. CEO Suzy Chu told employees in the memo that ByteDance and TikTok have signed binding agreements with the three investors. Half of the new TikTok U.S. joint venture will be owned by a consortium of investors, among them Oracle, Silver Lake, and MGX, which each hold a 15% share. Another 30% will be held by affiliates of existing ByteDance investors, and 19.9% will be retained by the China-based ByteDance, according to the memo. Okay, so I just bring that up because it's sort of a related story that I wanted to just mention in passing tonight. We'll take it down. But the larger thing, the more important thing is, and well, let me play this clip here first of Don Jr. talking about what I've just been talking about. And he's saying, you guys basically got played. Everybody, me too, I guess to some degree, even though I wasn't really sure if I should trust Tucker Carlson because I don't think he has much credibility left on many levels at this point because a lot of his predictions and a lot of the things he says have never come to pass, but he gets a pass from people largely. But last night with the predictions of announcing a war with Venezuela when it just didn't happen, well, Don Jr. is saying, you guys got played.
Now, yesterday, there was a bunch of baseless buzz about some sort of, I don't know, ground invasion of Venezuela. The media just ran with it blindly. But instead, my father delivered a speech laying out his record year of his second term. I mean, the ultimate Trump rope-a-dope. They think he's going to do a State of the Union type address to the nation announcing yet another endless ground war. And instead, he just talks about the successes that they refuse to talk about. We'll get into all. Now, yesterday.
They were playing you. They were playing me. They're playing everybody. That's what they were doing, but not just in the traditional sense. He wasn't just like, we'll just tease it. I'll tell you, here's why. This is my op-ed. This is why they did what they did. It's a trial balloon. That's something that's been done in politics for a long time. Usually the traditional way of using a political trial balloon is you get a policy or an idea or something that you want to bring into reality politically, like a bill or whatever, a new law, tax, whatever, and you leak it intentionally through a third party, maybe a journalist or even just somebody saying something in public in order to start making headlines and have it generate a story. And then you gauge public reaction afterward. And if there's favorable response, or at least if it's palatable to the public, then you move forward with it. And if you get negative pushback on it, then you know you have to back off before you actually commit to doing anything. And if it's if the potato is too hot, you just drop it and then you say, oh no, it's not true. We're not looking at doing that at all. So that's a trial balloon. What was going on yesterday, in my estimation, because it was so widespread, so well amplified, and because they were using such prominent streamers to deliver the message, people like Nick Fuentes, Alex Jones, and Tucker Carlson, even though they're saying, I don't know if it's true or not, but this is what I'm hearing. Yeah, you've been hearing it. You weren't just hearing it, man. They were being told to say it. They were given their talking points because they're in league with all of this. So they put the messaging out, but it's more sophisticated than that, far more sophisticated than that. Because what they were doing is not only were they gauging public reaction, your reaction, my reaction overall, they were gathering data to see if there's support for this war, for this pending war in Venezuela, because he knows that he is the president of peace. He promised not to get people into the United States into another forever war. But he's trying to appease the big oil oligarchs who want their money back after getting kicked out of Venezuela. So he wants all the stolen oil and stolen land back, blah, blah, blah. He's trying to, and more than that, he's trying to just assert U.S. influence, dominance, ownership, really, of the entire Western Hemisphere over all the landmass here, including Canada, Greenland, Panama, Central American countries. And even yesterday, Alex Jones, in his commentary or interview with Nick Fuentes, he says himself that he doesn't know if it's possible, but he would support that. What the hell are you talking about, Alex Jones? Oh, I would support that if you could get regime changer, like in all of these countries, these Latin American countries. I'm like, are you freaking kidding? But of course, they're concerned because if that's something that is attempted, then that would result in multiple Vietnams potentially all through Latin America. And of course, America wouldn't want that, but he'd support it if it could be done. But it's probably not achievable. So I don't know. But gee, oh my goodness, isn't that a shame that we can't have regime change in all these different countries, that it couldn't be successful because it might just be too bloody? But there's the trial balloon and partly part of that. And I'll tell you what they were doing through the whole thing. They were, from the beginning of the day, they were collecting data. What kind of numbers did Tucker Carlson's comments generate on the Judge Knapp show? What are the demographics? What percentage of the people appear? What was the reaction in the chats? And they're gathering all of this information, all this data, and they're compiling it all. And even right up until the time of the speech, they can compile that data, analyze it very quickly, even using AI now, to get real-time, real results back to determine where the public opinion is on any of these things. And when you have an important issue, like maybe putting boots on the ground in Venezuela and launching a military intervention there, an attack, an invasion aimed at regime change, you want to gauge and find out if you've really got the support of the public behind you on it, if all your propaganda to date has really worked, and it hasn't. I could have told them that. even without looking at the data. But you mark my words, and we'll probably never know for sure, but I'm sure that they're looking at all of this stuff online, and they're monitoring, and they have the resources and the technology to do it in real time, to find out what you really think. They know what you and I think, and with individually and collectively, better than we do ourselves. So as this stuff's being rolled out last night, they know exactly how many women from each, ethnic group and each age demographic, all the way down the line, exactly where the support lies, where the opposition lies. They're monitoring the comments. They're looking at all this stuff. And they're taking that into consideration. I would say even right up until just before that speech last night. Should he, shouldn't he? And I think they knew in advance anyway that no, not really going to fly with the people, so we should stop. So he didn't really talk about it. It was only a brief mention in the whole thing about Venezuela. You see that? It's not popular. And there's a lot of concern, I think, even among MAGA types about the extrajudicial killings of the narco-terrorist boat dwellers in the middle of the ocean, or as he said in the speech last night, the ocean and the sea. I don't know the difference, but whatever. The drugs are coming in by the ocean and the sea, is what he said. Okay, cool. It's a different time, man. And they're playing with us on every level. Were you ready for the war last night at 9? And it is a show. That's why it's a show. They turn it into an online show, so it's entertaining, it's engaging. It's all about emotion. They're feeding you these narratives, the information. They're putting, the video up to get you either really happy or really sad. First one, then the other. They put you on an emotional roller coaster, and they sell you the war. They sell you their politics, their ideas. And it's a back and forth. And it's scary because it works so incredibly well. You combine that with drugs. You get people zoinked out, droned, drunk and stoned at the same time. That's optimal. Right? And then sit them down in front of the computer screen, strap some cans on their ears, or better yet, put a VR goggle on them, and then make them watch Alex Jones for, say, I don't know, 6 hours. Watch what happens. The lizard people are coming to kill me. That's what happens. So we got to deport the potato head people and get them out of the country because the lizard people are going to eat my brain. Because not only do they monitor you to find out what you think, they're feeding you the information to make you think what they want you to think. And to eventually get you to support what they want you to support. Like, yeah, I've got to take out all those commies down there in Latin America. Because, they stole all the oil from us. Yeah. And then the concern is very disingenuous. Except, and I don't think the regime change has never really worked very well for us. But I'd support getting rid of all them commies if it could be done. And it won't be popular at all if this happens and you get any Americans coming home in body bags. Because while it's very entertaining to watch the circus online, and you might become very engaged emotionally, you're very detached. I'm very detached. We're all very detached from it because it's just like watching a show on the screen. But the consequences in the real world are very real indeed.
Maverick News. Fighting for freedom.
And so with all of that in mind, we come back to the floor crossing thing. And, you know, I don't think I'm out to lunch on this. I think the people who are, you know, pretending to be deeply offended, I think they're the ones who are just being disingenuous at this point. I'm going to bring you this clip. This goes back to, boy, I don't know how long ago this was. I just happened to come across this. This was from some time ago. Michelle Rumpel Garner. This was not that long ago. It was there was a bill that was presented previously to prevent floor crossings. And this conservative, this prominent, well-spoken, and I think she's a pretty sharp cookie, actually, Michelle. And she was against it then, and she explains why. And this just happens to echo exactly what I've been saying from the very beginning of this whole floor crossing issue this time around.
This bill would seriously undermine the independence of members of this House, and I don't think that is something that we should encourage or support. The bill would impose restriction upon members who wish to express a different position than the one endorsed by a majority of their caucus. This bill would also impede members of Parliament in representing the interests of their constituents, which is one of the fundamental duties under our Constitution. Bill C-306 would go against existing rules and traditions by allowing the party machinery to take precedence over individual rights and responsibilities of each member of Parliament and their caucus choices. The bill would require members who fundamentally disagree with their caucus or with the leader of their party to resign their seat or to sit as an independent. Such restrictions would strengthen the control of political parties over individual members by bolstering a party's threat of expulsion in order to maintain party discipline and limit the representative role of the member. By seeking to punish members of Parliament who disagree with their parties so fundamentally that they decide to change their political affiliation, the bill would focus exclusively on the party role of members. This would be detrimental to the individual roles of members, including their duties to act as trustees of the public interest and that of their constituents. Members are subject to scrutiny by the public, by the media, by parliamentary colleagues, and most importantly, by their voters, by their constituents back at home in the next general election. Therefore, I believe this bill is unnecessary, as it is that court of opinion by which members are truly judged. To emphasize, general elections themselves are the appropriate mechanisms to hold members of Parliament accountable for their actions. The floor crossing tradition in Canada reflects the importance of preserving the independence and mobility of members of Parliament to vote with their feet when they feel it is in the best interests of their constituents or the country to do so. Crossing the floor exists in other Westminster parliamentary systems. The United Kingdom, Australia, and New Zealand do not currently impose restrictions on crossing the floor. This is consistent with the fact that laws banning floor crossing are rare in established democracies, but common in nascent democracies where they are defended as temporary measures designed to consolidate a party system. Ultimately, members are held accountable by their constituents at the next election.
Yep. Exactly right. Every syllable. Right on target, right on the money. Factual. It's a true representation and what she said of what our system is about. And it means that MPs still get to have a mind of their own or minds of their own. So they have the freedom to always, at the end of the day, on any given vote, if it's serious enough that they feel compelled to vote against their party and maybe even against the sitting government, if they are in power at the time, they have the ability, the freedom to vote as an individual member of Parliament, regardless of party status, in order to best represent their constituents or the country. The repercussions from within the party itself may be severe, but they have the freedom to do it. But if you pass a law that prevents them from crossing the floor, you are actually taking away their ability to act independently if necessary for them to best represent you. You're diminishing your own voice by doing so. Isn't it interesting how a lot of these people who pretend to be advocating for you are actually convincing you to take steps and endorse actions that would be actually against your own best interests? Our system can and generally does work. It's just not perfect and it needs refinement. But I say, keep on working at it. The base is there, and a lot of what we need to do really is truly just get back to some of these traditions and a proper interpretation through our courts, especially the Supreme Court, a proper interpretation of our Constitution. We've gotten away from that, and therein lies the real problem. But our system is also designed to self-correct over time, and we are in the process of doing that. Don't need to tear it all down. Just need to fix some of the problems. We've got a good fixer-upper here. It's a classic. A classic car. Let's polish it up. Let's cut the rust out, weld in some new metal, grind it down, put in a little filler where we need to, prime it up, and lay on a nice shiny coat of base coat clear coat. And then we'll be cruising in style, man, in a way that even the United States will be envious of. Donald Trump will be saying, where did you get that regal royal country of yours? And we'll say, right out of history, man. It's all about tradition. It's all about honoring the lessons learned through history, through the finest of philosophers, through the rule of law and legal precedents that got us to this place. And all we had to do, Donald, is just a little spit and polish. Shine her up. In a car that was probably built with parts from Canada and the US. And these days, maybe in a few from China. I'll be right back.
Greetings, brave mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals. Defenders of individual rights and freedoms. Credible. Trusted. Grounded in reality. Maverick News. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
See, we still have this this cool story coming up at the end of the broadcast. It's Christmas related, so you're not going to want to miss it because it's a good one. So let's just see if we can tear through some of this other important news of the day. Trump asked about, what's going on with Russia, Ukraine tonight, and the status of the peace negotiations. We see Zelensky meeting with European leaders, just going around and around and around in circles. And every time this happens, we're being told, oh, this could be it. This is the big one. I don't know. I wish that the killing would stop too, regardless of whatever. So here's Trump being asked about it today. And some people are thinking that this is significant, that like somehow some people think that Russia's ready to make a deal and they're there or something, and Ukraine's got to act quickly in order to seize the moment. I don't know. Probably not, but here's what he said.
Mr. President, there's a meeting this weekend on Ukraine in Florida. What are you hoping will come out of that meeting?
Well, they're getting close to something, but I hope Ukraine moves quickly. I hope Ukraine moves quickly because Russia's there. And, every time they take too much time, then Russia changes their mind. 27,000 soldiers were killed last month.
Yeah, whatever. Keep hearing the same stuff over and over again. But hey, Trump's getting what he wants, right? Because the Kennedy Center board, which was handpicked by Trump, has devoted to rename the Kennedy Center jointly with the Trump name attached to it. Let's see if I can get the headline on that. Trump Kennedy Center. It's here somewhere. Oh, and I've got a Tucker Carlson clip, actually. So I'll tell you what, I'll run that, and then while I'm doing that, we'll come back to the Kennedy Center thing. Let's get the Tucker Carlson clip up there because he's kind of like, oops, I guess we're not going to war after all, even though we made a giant deal out of it last night. He did say he didn't know, and I think he was being quite honest when he said he doesn't really know much of anything. I couldn't believe he said that. I don't know if he meant it that way or not. I don't mean to be too hard on him. He's a very popular guy and way more popular than me. So what the hell do I know?
Well, apparently we're not going to war with Venezuela. My sources were wrong. I just wanted to share how it is that I got the information, if you allow me. Last night I had a dream. President Maduro came to me in the dream and he said, Tucker, El Presidente Trump is declaring el war on Venezuela. I need your help, O Tucker. The dream was so real that I had to check if it was true or not. So I called Candace Owens. She said that all dreams are totally credible sources of information. That's where she gets all her information from. So now I know we're definitely going to war with Venezuela. I had to check with a government source one last time before I leaked this totally credible information. So I called Marjorie Taylor Greene, and she said, Tucker, you go ahead and leak that information. I also had a dream about it. So that's basically what happened.
I'm not sure, but I'm thinking maybe, just maybe, that was fake. Because I don't think that Tucker Carlson would really want to admit that he was wrong to that level. Especially after he did qualify and said he didn't know. But he claimed that he was told this by a member of Congress. Yeah. That was pretty funny, though. It was fake. It was fake, just to make it very clear. Fake. That was AI. I think Don Jr.'s clip was real, though. Also, congratulations to John Jr. on having such a beautiful fiance and such a smart lady. I hope she teaches you a few things about being a good person. And here is Tulsi Gabbard talking about the situation in Venezuela. Wasn't I supposed to cue something up? I think I forgot what it was that I was supposed to cue up for you. I'd have forgotten because I'm so distracted. Okay, let's go to Tulsi Gabbard talking about this. You remind me in the chat. What was it I was supposed to get for you again? So many things every night. My mind has just got to be thrown into reverse here for a moment.
The United States has a disastrous history of military intervention and regime change around the world, which has brought suffering to millions of people. It's bankrupted our country, dishonored our troops, and it's undermined our national security. We must end this policy now before we get into yet another military conflict, this time in Venezuela. Now, President Trump and his administration have already instituted heavy sanctions on Venezuela. They've doubled down on their position that all options are on the table. I wholeheartedly support the Venezuelan people as they fight for a free and fair democracy. But the United States should not be in the business of intervening, of picking who should lead their country, and we certainly should not be threatening military action. Venezuela poses no threat to the United States. Congress has not authorized the United States to go to war in Venezuela, and there's no justification for our country to violate the sovereignty of the Venezuelan people. Now, the reality is that threats of U.S. military action and regime change in Venezuela is undermining ongoing efforts to convince North Korea to give up their nuclear weapons program, which exists because Kim Jong-un sees it as the only deterrent against U.S.-led regime change. Now, President Trump is promising North Korea we will not wage regime change war against them, but at the same time is simultaneously threatening regime change in Venezuela. North Korea is going to look at President Trump's actions, not at empty promises. The United States needs to stay out of Venezuela and let the Venezuelan people determine their own future.
Is that real? Did she really just do that? Did she really just do that? Or is that freaking fake too? It's so bad out there. I don't know. But did she just commit political suicide? I did not preview that clip. Please, someone tell me if that's real or not. It looks real. Technically, like the video looks like it was like really shot, but please somebody tell me, is that real? I'm gonna have to let's look at this up. Look, oh my God, she's gone. Trump's like, get the hell out of here. Pete Hegseth is like, Tulsi, what are you doing? We're gonna have to have a signal meeting. Okay, did she just do that? Wow. If she did that, she's brave. Sort of. I don't know. What the hell was that? That was unexpected. Because she's been pretty much like kind of in lockstep with the Trump administration since getting her plum position there. I'm just looking some stuff up here. I'm looking. Searching. Looking. I'm going to get the URL on that. Let me try this. Okay. I don't know if that's from today. I bet you that's old. That's got to be old or fake. Let me analyze this. Uh-huh. I bet you it's old. It doesn't look right either. Like there's something, like it looks fuzzy, like not as clear as a video shot today would look. It's got to be old. Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, this is old. So I'm finding it in history now, in the archives. Yes. This goes back, and this is making the rounds now. So this is what it's about. This is people trying to show the hypocrisy and the inconsistency even with her, because I think she's fairly been silent on this up until this point. So let's see where we're at. I think this goes back to 2019. Yes. Still searching. Hang on. I don't want to mislead you at all on this, but that would make sense because she, prior to, joining the Trump government, she was always that would be what she would have said in the past. But now that she's in power, it's like she's corrupt. So she's like, she's not gonna give up her paycheck. Yeah. Okay. So this is, she did not post that video of herself. That is an old clip. It's from early 2019 when she was a Democratic congresswoman and presidential candidate, right? Yep. And she was, these are the kinds of things she was saying back when she was doing the talk show circuit at that time too. She went on The View, I remember, and she was talking, in similar fashion. And so as of today, doesn't look like there are any public statements from her specifically about Venezuela or U.S. military actions there. Yeah, she's been very much, in the shadows, in the back rooms, not coming out saying anything about this. But as the director of national intelligence, she has, since taking that position, she has, in public forums and even in hearings, come out to say that the era of regime change where nation building is over, calling it counterproductive, in an endless cycle that has cost, well, I think in her words, trillions of dollars and lives. Yeah. Because she's always been, up until now, an anti-interventionist. And even, I'd say, to some degree, an isolationist. Some people accuse her of being a, pro-Putin puppet because of her views on these things, because it sort of neuters the, if you follow her policy views, it would very much neuter the United States international foreign policies. So yeah, anyway, not new, but it does show a degree of hypocrisy with Tulsi Gabbard. And we've seen that on multiple occasions, because now that she's in power, she's either silent or she's going along with what Trump is doing and the administration on some of these issues, which I'm seeing that even a lot of pro-Trump people, pro-military people, expressing concerns about a lot of the policies that Trump has been pushing forward with. Okay, what else do we have for you tonight before we get to our cool little story here at the end, our Christmas kicker? Speaking of AI, have you seen this? This is AI. This is Erica Kirk. She's been under a lot of fire. Even a lot of conservatives just don't seem to like her. Some people, embraced her and they just, she can do no wrong. But a lot of people, I think it's because she's just too damn perfect. The beauty queen, seriously, like a beauty queen. Definitely a trophy wife for Charlie Kirk at the time. Maybe more. Depending on who you listen to, like Candace Owens, and others who are like, oh no, their marriage was on the rocks. But look at this. Somebody has produced this thing, and they're calling it Erica Kirk's debut music video single. And it's straight fire. Below is the worldwide exclusive of her first country music song. And it's not really complimentary. I think it's meant to be sort of a parody. But at the same time, it is, it's calling out her hypocrisy too, because of, and not so much hers necessarily, but, just the money, the exploitation in the TPUSA political camp, because there's that in every political camp, right?
$1 million dreams, yeah, you know. But I'm a boss, babe, I run the show. You say I dress too scantily. Stop asking questions and don't come after my TPUSA family. This mascara don't run, racking up that babysitter debt. Where's my spotlight, huh? Get my fireworks, don't forget. Shabbat shalom, bitches. I don't drink, I don't date. What really comes from Jewish.
See what I mean? It's like, it's not complimentary. She's holding all this money, and it's what are we getting at with these these super hunks in the tight shorts? What's the messaging? I'll let you decide.
Hey, give me privacy or I will cry. Boss babes always lie. Boss babes always lie. My turning point family says I'm moving way too fast. But how long can a book tour really last? Pulling millions from donors, yeah, $10,000 a plate gala and they're a long go now.
Who's the elite?
Now buy my book. It's better than you thought. Jewish hate is just brain rot. Stop, that's it. That's all I have to say, stop.
Okay, enough. And of course, you have to have the Jewish element in there, and the. Okay, let's look a little bit more. A little bit more. Yeah. $100 bills. Just, I don't envy her. She's in a tough spot now because people are holding her to a pretty high standard. And where she comes from, I don't know if she's going to be able to live up to the standard and the image that people have generated for her. They've got her on a pedestal. People on pedestals tend to get cut down. Yeah. She's in a tough spot. Okay, what else we have going on here? Not going to get into any more of the Ukraine stuff tonight. We have, the Bongino thing. Yeah, I think I did mention this last night. Bongino leaving the FBI. My computer is freezing. I hope you can still see me. Let me just, there we go. Now it's reacting. All right. So yeah, Bongino confirmed he's leaving the FBI. And that should tell you something too about what's going on within the MAGA administration. There are cracks there. You've seen that he hasn't been happy from the very beginning. And as much as I've seen a lot of the people on the left criticizing Bongino because they really don't like him, I have always sensed my impression of him has been that I think he has integrity. I think that he seems pretty genuine and loyal, but because of that, he's also very loyal. You can see he was loyal to Rush Limbaugh. He had a lot of respect for Limbaugh. In many respects, he was the heir apparent to Limbaugh's broadcast legacy, sort of like the guy to come after Limbaugh, like after Rush Limbaugh passed away. And then he was very emotional. You could see it. And I think it was genuine when he was shutting down the podcast to take the deputy directorship at the FBI. But I don't think he was able to stomach whatever it is that is going on over there. And I suspect that it's not good within the FBI and is certainly not what the public was being promised, whatever it is. And he's had enough, a belly full of it. And out the door he goes, forced or voluntarily. I think, he's going on his own. I think he's got so much integrity that it's almost to a fault. And the integrity bleeds over into loyalty, even to Trump and maybe even to Kash Patel, even as he stands opposed to what Patel is doing. But he's got too much class to spill the beans publicly at this point. But I wouldn't be surprised if people like Bongino and many others at the end of this administration, I think the stories and the books that are going to come out will just blow people away when we find out what's really been going on behind the scenes. Some of it you can, I think, get a sense of when you just start looking at things between the lines. Yeah, this is the thing too. Back to Erica Kirk. This is why she's having such a hard time. We're getting into sort of MAGA celebrity news now. From the time J.D. Vance appeared on stage at the memorial, it was the memorial, right? And the way he was running his hands through her hair and embracing her, and it has just generated all kinds of rumors, speculation, gossip is really the right word here about Erica Kirk and J.D. Vance having an affair.
You also learn some unexpected things, like the fact that Joy Reid probably needs a really, really good hug. And honestly, I'm here for it if she needs it. I got a good hug for you. Good hug for you. I'll even touch the back of your head.
I think you understand what the messaging is there, right? So she's saying, I'm not having an affair with J.D. Vance. Have you seen the meme that's been going around, the video where Erica Kirk and J.D. Vance are embracing and then kissing on stage in public, and then J.D. Vance's wife is watching. At first she's happy and smiling because he's comforting the widow, and then she's appalled and just shocked, and she's just horrified as she watches her husband kissing Erica Kirk in this video. I mean, that's what's going on. That is what is going on. So I do not envy Erica Kirk at all. It's terrible. I've said many times, politics is a blood sport, baby. You combine religion, politics, sex, relationships. It's a show. It's a show. And that's what builds ratings. And I'm sure they're probably collecting data on that too, that they're using to further manipulate us. Do you think they're paying attention to what we're doing here? Yep. Damn right they are. They're monitoring. They're looking. I'm surprised, actually, at how far this program reaches. It's amazing to me. I received phone calls this week from people out in Los Angeles because people there have been watching because of our coverage of the shootings, and there was the coverage of the foiled terrorist attack that we provided this week as well. So that's been generating views out in California. So I've been getting phone calls from people out there. So yeah, we've got an audience, haters, whether you like it or not. And for those of you who don't know what the hell I'm talking about, we have a channel that's just devoted specifically to the haters over on Twitch. And I don't really look much over there, but all they do is just talk negative stuff. No matter what is said, they take they're opposite people. So they just have to hate because they love it. And they want to shut the whole channel, this whole operation down. But I believe in free speech. So there you go. You've got your own channel where you can kind of be away from normal people, regular people, smart people who don't want anything, and nice people who just don't deserve better than to be subjected to to that every night. And so the channel grows. Maverick News grows. And thank you, haters, because we are in the top 20% of all users on Twitch. Thanks to you guys. You've made the channel. And the other thing that generates clicks is anything Epstein. More photos released today. If I'd really wanted clicks and I was trying to build the channel, this probably should have been the lead. But it's not. We're pulling up the rear tonight of the broadcast, the near rear, with the Epstein story tonight. This is PBS, their coverage of it, but it's receiving coverage across the spectrum. Let's bring it up over here. Gonna bring that back over here. You don't know what I'm talking about. I'm moving tabs around. Lolita passports and more famous figures pictured in latest Epstein photo release. So yeah, you've got Woody Allen, you've got Epstein himself, of course, Bill Gates right here in these photos released today, standing there with some young lady. Don't know who, don't know how old, don't know what that's about. Her face is blocked out, so we can't see who she is. Democrats on the House Oversight Committee released another collection of images from Jeffrey Epstein's estate today on the eve of the Justice Department's deadline to release all of its files on his case. Around 70 photographs came from Epstein's computer and email accounts and shed more light on his lifestyle and social circles. The photographs, among 95,000 handed over by Epstein's estate last week, were provided to the committee without context. So these are just pictures. Looks like they're in a hotel someplace because you can see the luggage racks. Is that on Epstein Island? Did they have luggage racks? They probably did. I don't know where that is taken. One image shows former Microsoft CEO Bill Gates standing next to a woman whose face is redacted. Another shows Noam Chomsky seated next to Epstein on a plane. Several images show a social gathering over a meal and several faces of powerful or public figures, including Epstein. A separate image that appears to be from the same room shows Google co-founder Sergey Brin and New York Times columnist David Brooks, who is a regular contributor to the PBS NewsHour. The photos are undated. So hard to say exactly what these things mean. Any criminality here? It doesn't appear that anything is obvious. Several images in the new release show Epstein photographed with women whose faces have been redacted. One photograph appears to show 3 women with Epstein with an open computer nearby. One of the women has her arm around his shoulder. Another photo shows Epstein seated on a plane, pointing out a window while a woman sits closely behind him. Her face is also being obscured. And some photos in the batch show close-ups of a foot and a neck. In both images, quotes from the book Lolita appear to have been written in black pen on the person's body. She was low, plain low, in the morning, standing 4 feet 10 in one sock, with the book Lolita behind the foot. She was Dolly at school. That's what was written on the foot. Other unexplained images include identification cards or passports of several unidentified people from countries such as Russia and the Czech Republic. A hand holding open Jeffrey Epstein's own passport. What appears to be a screenshot of a series of text messages discussing scouting. There's a photo of this too. Some girls, quotation marks. The unknown sender writes, maybe someone would be good for Jay, whoever Jay is, and includes the age and body measurements for an unidentified person. A hand holding a drug bottle with a label for phenazopridine, a generic analgesia used to relieve urinary tract pain and burning. There's Noam Chomsky. Because maybe somebody caught something. And is that Steve Bannon? I think that's Bannon, isn't it? From the profile? And this undated photograph from the personal collection of Epstein, political strategist and former Trump advisor. Yes, Steve Bannon speaks with Epstein inside an office. The photo from Epstein's estate was released Thursday by Democrats on the House Oversight Committee. There's Steve, as Trump used to call him, sloppy Steve Bannon. I notice he doesn't attack Bannon anymore. They seem to have buried the hatchet, and Bannon's still in his camp because he knows the other side's never going to embrace that guy. So he has no choice. He has to remain loyal to Trump no matter what happens. But he has been a loyalist, for sure. So all that going on, and the victims, the women, they're out there speaking. Not good for Trump, not good for him at all. Just even having the story alive and out there is just not good for him. And, Susie Wiles is chief of staff coming out and doing the interview with Vanity Fair. That's not an accident. That's not like an oops. Trust me on this. I don't know exactly what the goal is there. Maybe Susie Wiles is fed up with some of the people she sort of called out, like Elon Musk saying that the guy microdoses and drug user, saying that J.D. Vance is a conspiracy theorist, saying that Donald Trump himself, he's in the Epstein files, but he's not doing anything awful. He was just being a playboy with Jeffrey Epstein back in the day. But it's not good for Trump. And it's like she hasn't denied saying any of the things, although she did come out later, upon publication saying, oh, well, it's just a hit job. But she's a pretty sharp customer. Like, she's very smart. She's been the one really helping she's been, I think, one of the people providing the actual rudder for Trump and the entire administration, and before that, the campaign. She's the one who led them to victory and has been keeping the train on the track. And so it's no accident what she's been doing, what she did with Vanity Fair. How many interviews did she grant that reporter? 11? So there's a method to her madness for sure. She's not doing anything accidentally. And so anything that was said that's embarrassing anybody, you can be pretty darn sure that what she said is probably in context, or at least it was said intentionally with her knowing full well what was going to happen with to her comments upon publication. She did it on purpose. What is the purpose? I'm not entirely sure. It could be because she's trying to undermine or plant seeds for undermining somebody in the future, maybe, shortening their political aspirations. Or it could be saying things so that they could just monitor their response in social media and get the data back on it. I don't know, but it was not positive. It wasn't helpful. And I don't understand the real end goal here. I just know that that's not a woman who makes mistakes. And it shows that there's something bad going on. There's some rot at the center of what's happening with the Trump administration. And now I remember, since speaking of rot, it's the Kennedy Center. I was going to comment on that. So let's do that. Kennedy Center. I'll bring it back up. And the story is the Trump picked board votes to add his name to the Kennedy Center. It's all over the news. We'll bring up the BBC headline just so you can see it, but it's everywhere tonight. And they've been talking about this, and Trump kind of, I think he's like, oh, really, me? They're going to do that for me? Yeah, man, you set it all up. Oh, well, it's not like I really wanted it or anything. I don't really want a Peace Prize. Yes, you do. That's what it's all about for you, man. Kennedy Center to be renamed Trump Kennedy Center. White House says the board of the Kennedy Center has voted to rename the Performing Arts Center the Trump Kennedy Center, according to the White House. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said on social media that the board voted unanimously to make the change due to the unbelievable work President Trump has done over the last year in saving the building. Is that the reason why? He went in there and started purging. Yeah, and he put in a new board. Speaking in the Oval Office Thursday, Trump said he was surprised and honored by the decision. There's a clip up here. Let's roll it. It must be nice to have that much power. Probably not. Actually, I don't envy Trump at all either. It's just, wow, let's just play the clip. Maybe there'll probably be an ad in front of this.
KidsGuard is a reliable parental control tool. With kids.
Okay, skip that.
Board members of the Kennedy Center voted unanimously to rename it the Trump Kennedy Center. What is your reaction to that?
Well, I was honored by it. The board is a very distinguished board, most distinguished people in the country. And I was surprised by it. I was honored by it. We're saving the building. We saved the building. The building was in such bad shape, both physically, financially, and every other way. And now it's very solid, very strong.
Me, the people that I handpicked, and after I got rid of all the other people and fired them all, and took the whole thing over, and they want to name it after me. Get out of here. Oops. I'll be right back.
They both look clean, but the guest list redacted, if you know what I mean. No
victims. And also Donald Trump. Coincidence? Just dumb luck. Right? Another sealed file. That crocodile smile. We did our best, says the DOJ, while the truth just fades away. Another news spin. No one will win except the rich guys with gold ID cards and closets full of secrets behind steel bars. Just a little glitch. A billionaire's privilege. That's the sound of the case. Closed.
Maverick News. Fighting for freedom.
Okay, so tomorrow, because it's getting close to Santa Claus Day, Maverick Midnight Matinee, I need feedback. Does anyone, if you guys have any, sorry, people phoning, if you have any suggestions on what you would like to watch tomorrow night on Maverick Midnight Matinee, put it in the chat. If you want to watch a Christmas movie, that would be the time to do it, I think. I mean, we might run a Christmas movie even on Christmas Eve. Maybe we could save it for that. Maybe we run something else tomorrow night because it's not quite Christmas yet, but we're in the season. And so I'm looking for some suggestions. What do you guys want to watch tomorrow night on Maverick Midnight Matinee? I'm not guaranteeing I'm gonna go with what you suggest. I have a few ideas of my own, but if somebody comes up with something good, then we can do that. I'm gonna look in the chat right now. Anybody got any ideas? Let's see here. Smut Erica, she lucked out Epstein. Yeah, I don't envy her at all. In the chat. I won't say who said that. Yeah, Cindy, oh my gosh, not doing anything awful. I thought MAGA was against abuse of girls, boys. Yeah, exactly. The hypocrisy is amazing, isn't it? Kind of weird. RE Vanity Fair. Vanity Affair. Perhaps they want Trump removed to bring in Vance. There is that. Yes, they are throwing Trump under the bus. Perhaps the polls. Polls are garbage. Trump 1.0. Give it up, Erica. Want to be US or whatever. Yeah. Jubilee says she could do Playboy. She's so dumb. She was in the beauty pageant thing, right? Well, she was Miss Arizona? I think she was. She was Miss Arizona. And Dragon says, Rick, don't envy Trump. You know why? Yeah, because it's a tough job. And it doesn't matter what you do. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. But in his case, I think he's really damned because he's making some really bad moves. What else do we have here? Lindy says, at some point, It's a Wonderful Life. Yeah, maybe we could do that. What else do we have? Godzilla, Rick, and Santa. I don't know if there is a Christmas Godzilla movie. Is there? Does he eat the Christmas tree in Times Square? What else do we have? Christmas Carol, 1938. Yeah, we could do that. That was one of the ones on my list. That would be a good one. And there's Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. There's another one. There was another one I was looking at. Santa and the Ice Cream Bunny. It's from the 1970s, but I don't know. Canadian Bacon, Christmas Eve, It's a Wonderful Life. Like I'm a kind of like, I do like to do traditional things, and I kind of like to repeat things at Christmas and do things that I do every single year just because it's like we do this every Christmas. One of those things is you have to watch Scrooge. Got to watch A Christmas Carol. So there is that. And there are a lot of things so I'll take all those into consideration. I'll check the chat at the end of the program, even when I sign off, to see if you have any other suggestions. I'll look in there and we can maybe run one of those tomorrow night. I like the idea of A Christmas Carol just because it's a tradition, something that I do at least once every Christmas anyway. Have to watch it because it's Christmas. And that's what I've always done since I was a kid. Again, here in my mom's basement, Christmas tree over there. And now my parents put that up before I got here this year. It's artificial. But our Christmas is very real, even though we have a fake tree. But the reason I like the tree is because it's basically like a giant ornament, and we use it. We've had it for years and years and years and years and years and years and years. Same tree. So I have a soft spot in my heart for it because it's the same tree. So I look forward to seeing that tree every year. That's why when I wrote Snowman, the lyrics for that song, that's one of the things that I just kept in mind when I was writing the lyrics was this has to be a song about tradition and family and doing something the same over and over again. And one of the traditions that I would sit right over there on that sofa, which has been reupholstered. That's a really old sofa. But I would sit right there every Christmas when I was a kid, and I would open up the Christmas decorations. And on the top of the Christmas decorations, same colored comics from the newspaper that came on the weekends here. During the week, they had a comic strip in the London Free Press that was just like you had Peanuts at the very top, and then you had the other cartoons, comics in the newspaper. They were black and white, but on weekends they printed like a separate insert in color, and it was, I don't know if we have it anymore, but we had that for so many years. There was just this comics that were thrown in there with the decorations. And so every Christmas I'd get that thing out and I would read the same comics every single year from the London Free Press. They're probably still around here somewhere. I didn't see them the last couple of years, so I was kind of sad by that. I hope my dad didn't stick them in the wood stove to get the kindling started. Wouldn't surprise me if he did. But I had a soft spot in my heart for that. And the other tradition that I've always had with my wife is we generally buy a Christmas ornament every single year to just mark a new Christmas. So that's one of the things that we do too. Well, this brings me to tonight's Christmas kicker. And this story. It's a heart jerker for sure. This is a story about a family in Topeka, Kansas. It's a story about Kathy Duncan. She was very active in her community. I guess she was into local politics, into theater. She loved cats and squirrels and animals. She passed away this past September. And her husband, Tuck Duncan, and their 3 sons decided to share one of the great joys that Kathy always had, one of the things that she found great joy in, and that was her collection of snowmen, snow people, as she called them. And so she had just a ton of these things that she had accumulated over many, many, many Christmases. And so rather than just let them sit in storage this year, or even just have them at home, they rented a store in a shopping mall. And they what they have done is they have set up this big display of snow people. They're not selling them, nothing's for sale. They just wanted to, they just are sharing the joy. Sharing the joy with the people in their community. And there's been so much joy spilling over from all of this that this story has gone international. It's getting attention across borders, certainly in Canada and the US. I think they were even interviewed on CBC Radio as it happens. So getting attention up here, but they're hitting network newscasts now. But this is the local report that we're going to bring you tonight. This is from WIBW, the local television station in that community, channel 13. Share it with you now.
Life of a late family member by inviting all of you to view her Christmas display. 13's Claire Decatur gives us a peek at what it looks like. Claire?
Melissa, Kathy Duncan was active in local politics, theater, and was a cat and squirrel lover, but one of her loves tops them all. To say Kathy Duncan loved Christmas would be an understatement.
This would be one of the oldest. It's a little wax candle.
In her half-a-century marriage to Tuck, Kathy collected hundreds of snow people.
Survival in our marriage was guided by 2 words: yes, dear.
Each Christmas season, she created a holiday village in the Duncan's family home.
When we were first married 51 years ago at Candle Tree Apartments, there'd be a card table. And then as we moved, it got bigger. In recent years, it was a 6-foot by 6-foot table.
Kathy passed away in September. Instead of letting her boxes collect dust, they wanted to share it with the community.
The family decided that we should pull all of the 60 totes of material out and display it for the community. And as I've been telling people, it takes a family to build a village.
From now until December 24th, you can view hundreds of snow people at Westridge Mall for free. Her 3 sons, including Topeka's mayor-elect Spencer Duncan, say seeing it here is special.
It's a lot of memories because we used to help her put this out every year, and it would take her a while. I mean, she would put out the tables, and she would take hours and days to put it together. But so you look at some of these and you remember them. Oh, I remember putting this out with her.
When I see this, it just reminds me of a lot of us growing up, a lot of just how great of a woman she was.
I mean, to come in this room is just, I don't know, to see in 47 years of my mom.
Kathy's love now shared with the community.
My wife was a very sharing person, and she would love this. She would love it.
Visitors are encouraged to donate to 2 of her favorite organizations, Cat Association of Topeka and Ballet Midwest. The display is located on the 2nd floor of Westridge Mall, across from Petland and next to Spencer's. It's open regular mall hours.
Yeah. Just one moment here. So I put up on the screen there how you can donate to the channel if you're in a position to do that at freedomreporters.com. You can also donate at maverickdonations.com, or you can e-transfer to rw581@aol.com. Add the note or security answer at the end. Just answer that as part of the Interact thing and apply the answer to be Maverick. And the reason I put that up there is because I'm now going to run that Maverick and the News Brothers tune, Snowman, to close off the program tonight. It just seems appropriate given what we just watched. Yeah, there's something magical about it. Love you guys. See you tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern, on the flip side.
I was born in glitter, hung high on the tree. A cradle below held sweet Christina and me. Her tiny hands reached for the colored lights glow. I smiled through the fake snow while the carols played slow. And then the season was over. In a box I was packed, tucked away and waiting in velvet black. Every December, the little lifts again. Light floods the silence like grace on my sin. I searched through the sparkle for her sweet face. My little girl growing in this same old place, waiting in the darkness for light to shine through. Another year fades, I'm always looking for you. I love you, baby girl, you'll always be mine. The Christmas spirit's here for all time. Pigtails to ponytails, you grew up, you were gone. That cold Christmas smashed heart, it felt so wrong. Left in an attic with darkness my home, a forgotten snowman gathering dust all alone. 7 Decembers on the box shook and rose. Hands pulled me out, blinded by the glow. Same tree, same branch, but her eyes were brand new. A pink bundle sleeping, Lord, dreams do come true. Waiting in the darkness for light to shine through. Another year fades as I'm still looking for you. I love you, baby girl, you'll always be mine. The Christmas spirit's here for all time. She hung a snow lady right there by my side. Whispered he waited, teardrops she couldn't hide. Now 2 snow hearts sway where the tinsel is hung, watching her daughter reach like her mama once done. When they pack us together at the end of the night, we'll dream in the dark till next year's light. Waiting in the darkness for light to shine through. Another year fades, but my love still burns true. I love you, baby girl, and your baby girl too. The Christmas spirit's here for all time. Yeah, the Christmas spirit's here for all time.
shake us again. Watch the glitter fall slow. Merry Christmas from our little world. We'll be waiting in the snow.
Anybody who donates, I'll send you the Christmas album. See you tomorrow.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.